Welcome to Aware. We are dedicated to communicating information that inspires your positive growth and change. Are you interested in a peaceful planet? Are you interested in optimal health? Are you living with purpose? Are you enjoying your life? We realize each person can make a difference, and our mission is to empower your awareness. The choices that you make in every moment shape your life, and we encourage you to realize that you have your own answers and to always listen to your own truth. We invite you to stay aware.
Hi, I'm Lisa Garr, and welcome to the Aware Show Health and Mindset series, where I get to speak with experts about not only what we're doing in our new unprecedented times, but really how we're adapting to the level of change that we face every single day. And so we're in a place of learning. We're in a place of learning resilience, learning strength, learning about our immune system, learning about community. And today we are learning from an absolutely wonderful man, Dr. Bernard Siegel, who in 1986 wrote an incredible book called Love, Medicine, and Miracles. And he's subsequently written many, many more books about how we change our personal lifestyle, our mind, our body, and how that relates to our health. And I would say that the conversations, we had a great interview the other day, and the conversations that you have, you teach in stories. So if you were to tell a story, Dr. Siegel, of this particular time in history, how would you tell us that humanity survived? How did we thrive?
I was just thinking of this book that my grandson, oldest grandson, and I wrote. It just came out a short time ago. And the title fits what you're saying. I'll hold it up so you can see it. When you realize how perfect everything is. Now, you'd say, with all that's going on, what the hell are you talking about, how perfect everything is? But it's, again, you and how you interpret what's happening and what you're doing. It's, you know, I always say everything is perfectly imperfect. And I may bring you a word from God, because when I said to God, why don't you make a better world? Why do you give us a pandemic? I did a lot of children's surgery. Why do you have children born with all kinds of defects? And God said, Bernie, a perfect world is not creation. It's a magic trick. You'd have nothing to do if everything were perfect. You'd have no meaning in life.
True.
So I say to people, look for a way to contribute to the world. And again, what's important is, this goes back to the Bible, when your life is imposed upon you, he who seeks to save his life will lose it. My mother and father wanted me to be a lawyer. I don't want to be a lawyer, but if I'm not, they wouldn't send me to school. They won't pay a bill. They won't help me. When he got cancer, he closed his office and starts playing the violin he wanted to play in an orchestra. And of course, he didn't die when he was supposed to. But again, if a life is imposed upon you, the second line is, if you bring forth what is within you, what you bring forth will save you. So you've got to get rid of all that crap that piled up inside of you over your lifetime. You know, people, when I mentioned to you in a previous program, mottos to live by that I grew up with, because of the problems my parents had. I mean, they had a horrible childhood, parents dying, no money. And yet my father said, one of the best things that ever happened to me was my father dying when I was 12 years old. I said, what the hell are you talking about? I heard what you went through. There was 6 kids and a wife left. He said, yeah, but it taught me what was important about life. So he was helping other people. And I have some of his genes. It's hard for me to not help people. And I had to learn. Some of them don't pay you back. You know, you can lend them money, you can give them time, there's lots of things. But it's like, how did they lie to you and act that way? But I don't lose sleep over it. You know, I still act towards them with a sense of humor.
Yes.
You know, if they ever want to wake up.
You're one of the good doctors. I think I shared this with you in the past. My father, who has since passed since we've last spoken, but he is and was one of the good doctors too. He did such amazing work as a surgeon, an orthopedic surgeon, but he used to play comedy tapes in the operating room, and he was they wrote an article about him once because of that, and he was keeping everybody in the spirits of healing and of health and healing.
Right.
And I know that your wife passed around the same time as my father. What have you learned since then?
Oh, that's a whole other program. Um, and I mean it. The mystical events are incredible. I also have a book out at the same time as this other one I held up called No Endings, Only Beginnings. It's about life. And after my wife died, well, let me just share the coincidences. One of them was at night when I'd get into bed, I'd hear, and then I'd feel a breeze on my face, and there's nobody in the room. And I knew my wife is giving me a kiss goodnight. It's incredible. I hear her voice in the bedroom. One night I even sat up and said, "Do you need any help?" It was like I'm mad at her because she's making all these sounds. They weren't words. They were like, and I thought, oh, she's having trouble positioning herself in bed. So I sit up and say, "Do you need any help?" And then I said, "Stupid, she's dead." But, it's no coincidence from the sounds. The other is that one of our grandchildren named them. When my mother died, I started finding innumerable pennies in the driveway, all stores, anywhere. And this little pipsqueak of a kid said, "They're pennies from heaven." I thought, wow, that's coming from universal intelligence. When this little, like 7 or 8 year old says, "Oh, they're pennies from heaven." So that became a motto in our family. My wife dies. We were married on the 11th. I got to hold these. I don't know if you can see them, but it's a little bag with a dime and a penny in it, behind a picture of my wife that I wear over my heart. So she's always there. But we started finding pennies when my wife died. And then I started finding a dime and a penny. At least 6 times it is. Sometimes on the counter in Stop and Shop, on the belt, that moves. I'd walk over. Sometimes I hear a voice say, "Go in aisle 2." I go in aisle 2, there's a dime and a penny on the belt.
Ah,
I hear a voice
wow.
say, "Clean the bird bath in the yard." It was filled with leaves and dirty water. I dumped them out. There's a dime and a penny in the bird bath.
Huh.
This other weekend where there was Mother's Day, okay? Saturday was a 9. My wife was born on 9/9. Monday was 11. We were married on the 11th. And the middle day was Mother's Day. Saturday, I did some wash, went over to the dryer to take everything out. There's a dime and a penny in the dryer. And there's nothing in there that had money at all. That's why I saved that. Sunday,
Wow.
I'm making the bed. And I fix my side. Then I go to the other side to pull everything back because, it's a double bed for the two of us. But I know after I sleep, everything moves to my side. So I go to the other side to pull things back and put them down. I picked them up and they flew out of my hand. It was like something pulled them out of my hands. And I thought, what the hell happened? I looked down at the sheet over the mattress, a dime and a penny in the bed. Now,
Wow.
you
When you
can't make
say
up
that,
some crazy excuse for that one.
right. What do you do
Yeah.
though when you have that experience? Do you stop? Do you reflect? Do you chat?
Oh,
What
I
do you
feel
do?
beautiful about it because she's there with me saying
Hmm.
hello. I have a picture through the whole house. I have a portrait
Hmm.
painting I did of her because I did portraits of everybody. That was a way I could heal as a doctor. That when I
Mm.
involved myself in painting, it healed me. After an hour or two, I was a different person. Um, so I talk to her every morning. She's watching me, And I watched those numbers come up endlessly. Oh, yeah, let me say this because wearing it over my heart. 9 months after she died, my heartbeat went crazy. What's called auricular fibrillation. And I thought, how typical. This is what I'm preaching all the time. The person I love dies and my heart goes nuts.
Oh,
I go to the hospital. I walk in the emergency room. What room do you think I hear an announcement saying, put him in room
not
9?
9 or 11? 9.
9.
9.
They put a wristband on
Yes.
me. My identity number in Yale New Haven Hospital, there's an 8, which is a new beginning. Then there are 2 9s, 2 6s, 2 3s. So I know my wife's watching out for me because
Yeah.
everything adds up to 9s. Then they said, we
Yes.
can't find a room for you upstairs. Next morning, they said, we got a room now. Sent me up, room 819. 2
You're
9s again.
constantly being guided. So you're
And
looking for the
all
signs
of
too.
the, let me
most
mention
people-
this too, because you also on your wristband get a case number, a visit number. And every time it adds up to 9s also. It could be 4 5 7 2, whatever. One day when I was visiting in the doctor's office, I said to the nurse, the band you're putting on, everything's going to add up to 9. And I noticed the visit number didn't. And I thought, wow, I wonder what happened. Then I noticed it added up to our anniversary, the 7/11.
Oh, there's
So
beautiful
every
signs.
single, yeah, I mean, she's there. I keep telling her, well, I used to, that I'd like her to rig the lottery so I win that. But she hasn't done that for me. But
But
if she can do
Bernie,
all
the
the other,
point is that you're looking for this type of connection. And my mother, who's grieving, is not looking for it. She wants to see it, and every now and then it'll come through for her. But do you think, as you mentioned with healing, if you're looking for the healing is more likely to become
yeah,
to
your mind is
fruition?
quiet. The still mind, I say like a blank canvas, then something can be created. But if you're miserable, oh, my wife died. Oh, what a horrible thing. What is wrong with God? Why did he take her away? Why, how am I going to, yeah, none of that's ever going to happen because, or you'll make excuses if something nice happened. You'll say, oh, that was, an incident. Just what the hell difference does that make? So I found a penny. So what? Yeah. But,
Well,
when you
it's
find dozens of pennies, that's what originally happened when my mother died. You see, what made me aware again, I would go to the mailbox. We have a big curved down driveway. And I'd go to the mailbox and find the pennies on the way back.
wow,
How could I miss
wow.
them on the way down? Yeah. And that's when the little pipsqueak of a kid was in our front yard and yelled, oh, they're pennies from heaven. And I know that came from someplace special, not from him, if you know what I
Yes,
mean, but from
yes.
a higher wisdom. Yeah.
I love that you're looking for the beautiful, simplistic signs in life to allow you to have a connection to the divine and to the mystical. Even those who've had extreme loss during this time, loss of a job, loss of life, loss of anything the way that we knew it, it's going to take these little, stringing together these little magical moments that can actually lead us back to a place of happiness.
Yeah.
And we appreciate so much now, like a hug, like
Right.
those types of things. Being around family, we appreciate so much of that. And we don't want to wait necessarily till our,
Let me give you another quote and then some examples. Jung said, the future is unconsciously prepared long in advance and therefore can be guessed by clairvoyance. So the decisions we are making create our future, all right? Because you're talking about
wow.
losing our job. True story. Man gets fired. He's driving home. His car breaks down. He's standing there. Somebody pulls up, says, you got a problem? I'll give you a lift. Gets in the car. They start talking. He tells him he got fired. Oh, really? What did you do? He tells him, he says, you know something? I need to hire you because I'm looking for somebody with, your occupation. And you say, how the hell does that happen?
Yes,
But,
yes.
you know, it
You've got to
happens.
make
And
for
it's
it and trust in
coincidence.
it. Yeah.
And I think
Yes.
these are the things that I see in our life when you meet people, um, you know, it, when you're not expecting to and things happen and boom. Yeah. But if you're thinking all the time, you stop that intuitive self from guiding you and,
If you're in fear
teaching.
a lot,
Yeah. Yeah. If you're
the fear
thinking
can
all
block
the
it as well.
time, then that wisdom isn't working. That's why when do we dream? When we go to bed. You shut your brain off. Oh, you mentioned in the operating room, I played music in the operating room all the time. To start with, I was called an explosion hazard because I brought in a boombox to, play tapes way back in those days.
Yes.
And they said, you're an explosion hazard. But in 2 weeks, everybody enjoyed my explosion hazard and more, music was being played in all the different operating rooms because everybody felt better. And I realized also, because we had when you operate on children, and I play children's music, everybody regressed to their childhood. So
Well,
everybody in the operating room started acting like a kid again, hearing these songs that they heard when they were 5 or 6 or 7 years old. And they loved
it's important to, as I said, string together these moments where you're actually looking for something. So in this time right now, if you watch enough of the news, you're going to look for the fear, you're going to look for the numbers, you're going to look for the ways that people are being harmed and being hurt. If you can actually turn that off for a little bit and look at it from a different perspective on some of the great things, some of the things that we're going to take away from these unprecedented times. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're looking at this pandemic and our entire situation right now globally that might actually be good?
it. Well, what just popped into my head was a statement from one of our children when he was an adult, young adult. Life sucks. Most people suck. And if you wake up one day and the world's beautiful and everyone loves one another, you're dead. And I loved it. I knew he wasn't having the best day, but that when you can express that, that's a survivor. You know what I mean? I got to tell you more about him because he was troubled in many ways in competing with four other siblings, not being the oldest or the youngest or so forth. So he learned to cause trouble to get attention. And he made the others jealous because he got a lot of attention because he drove us crazy. But I took him to a psychiatrist finally. And the psychiatrist called me after a couple of weeks and said, come into my office. I need to talk to you about your son. I said, okay. He said, there's really no point in bringing him here. I said, what is it? What do you mean? He said, look, you see that velveteen sofa in front of my desk that all the patients sit on? Yeah. Your son sits there, stares at me for the entire hour and never says a word. There aren't many people who are capable of doing that, you know? And,
Yeah, so what you're saying basically is that he has strength that he has used and basically to help him survive and thrive. We will find that strength as well to help us survive and thrive during this entire situation that we're in and going forward. We will find a way. And that is how we get through. That's how we get through trauma. That's how we get through a lot of things.
See, I've had a lot of experiences we haven't talked about. I was born to a mother who was told not to become pregnant. She was very sick with hyperthyroidism, couldn't survive a cesarean section. I'm just going to make these short stories, but by the time they got me out of her, she said weeks of labor, and they finally reached in and pulled me out. She said they handed me a purple melon, not a child. And there are no pictures in our family album that prove what she said was right, only pictures of a covered carriage. I said to her, how the hell did I survive if nobody was touching me and you're hiding me behind the house? Oh, my mother took you. Thank God for grandmothers. I mean that. My mother took you, poured oil all over you, and pushed everything back where it belonged 4 and 5 times a day. So I knew as a baby, I felt like the most loved kid on the planet. You know,
Oh,
I mean, I don't question what's the reason you're loving me and rubbing me. And 50 years later, when a woman massaged my shaved head with oil, I mean, it was a full massage, but she started on my head. I went back to being an infant. Those memories are still in my body. And
mm.
it was an incredibly wonderful thing. So I opened my eyes in total bliss, and the room is filled with 20, 25 people. I said, what the hell's going on? I'm getting a massage. This is a quote from her husband, who was a therapist massaging my wife at the same time. We thought you had a heart attack or a stroke. We couldn't communicate with you. I said, yes, I have a story to tell you. I became an
Oh my
infant
goodness.
again. Yeah, I didn't hear them. I couldn't talk to them. It was incredible. And
My
so I know
goodness.
store our memories in our body. I had a
Hmm.
near-death experience when I was 4 years old, choking on a toy. I took it apart because there were workmen in our house with nails in their mouth. So I was imitating them and took this toy telephone apart, which the company should have been sued for a kid to unscrew it. And I aspirated them, was choking to death. One of the most painful experiences I've ever had in my life. And,
Wow.
but being out of my body was wonderful. Um, because
So
you
how
see,
that
you think,
relates?
you feel, and then see, I didn't know it then, but I have an angel. And suddenly the kid, I called it, vomited. I realize now my angel did a Heimlich maneuver on the kid. All the pieces came flying out. He started breathing, and I'm back in the body. And you notice I call him the kid. That was something I used to think, why don't you say he did a Heimlich on me? And I realized, because you're not the body.
Uh,
You are
yes.
out of it. Yeah, we are not our bodies. They're given to us so our consciousness can, I always say, like, be God's right arm, do things to help God create and make this a wonderful place to live. Um, so we are not our bodies. So when I leave this one, I'll get another one somewhere sometime. And I know
Mm.
that past lives exist because, again, accidents happen. I'm on the telephone telling somebody, look, I've got an interview. I don't have time to keep talking to you. Why are you living this life? She yelled at me because I was so busy. And I said to her, oh my God. She said, what is it? I just went into a trance. I got a sword in my hand, killing people. Maybe that's why I'm a surgeon. Those are the first words that came out of my mouth. And
Mm.
I ultimately, a few days later, went into a trance when I was on an airplane flying cross country with nobody to stimulate me or talk to me. I went into a trance and I saw, I'm not going to tell you the story, but it had me crying for hours. Who I killed, what I
Wow.
killed, the sword. And I learned it was about faith because when I went to get therapy, James Hillman, the Jungian therapist, I went to him. I said, this, I'm just grieving, so I can't take it. He said, what's the story? I said, well, my Lord asked me to kill the neighbor's daughter. It was in Ireland, they were living in castles, okay? And he
This
said, do
was
you
like
hear
a
what you're
past
saying?
life memory.
Yeah. He said, you hear what you're saying? I said, what? You keep saying my Lord. I said, yeah, it's the Lord of the castle. He asked me to kill. No, Bernie, it's your Lord. Wow. That was like
Mm.
he punched me in the head. You have to go home and relive this. It's your Lord. And that's when I said, Abraham and Jesus always have driven me crazy. Why they didn't do something? Why didn't Jesus jump off the cross? Because that was my feeling. If I were Jesus, I'd say, you want to watch something, how I perform miracles and who
Uh,
I am? You jump down. And
So,
Abraham, why did he say to God, take me, leave the kid alone? Or can't we work something else out? Yeah. But he
so you're
knew
saying
his child
basically
was,
great things comes through suffering. Great things comes through suffering.
well,
Great
from
things that we
faith,
are
faith. Yeah.
from faith.
So, yeah. Then you're
So
not
stay in
really suffering because you know it's the greater good that's going to change. When I relived it and said to my Lord, okay, he said, I just needed to know you had faith in me. Go and bring them here and we'll resolve this. And the resolution was I married that girl. She was my wife in this life too. And we united the two families and there was nothing to fight over anymore. Okay?
Mm.
So if I had
Well,
said yes to my Lord, nothing would have ever come.
right. And so you
Yeah.
had a change of life in many, many different ways. And we are going through this right now where we're going through trials and suffering and pain, and yet faith will change and shift the way that we move forward. And I love that as an example because that's
Yeah. What can I
that's a
learn from
wonderful
this?
way to look
Just
at
a
this.
wonderful thing to keep asking yourself. What can I learn from this experience? Yeah.
Mm.
Then it becomes a
That is a
teacher.
Yes, that is a beautiful, beautiful question to ask yourself. Thank you so much, Dr. Bernie Siegel. I love your stories and your
Thank
examples. You have a lot to
Remember,
share. And
everybody's
what
wounded. That's something else that when I go out in the world, I know everybody because I know they have problems too.
mm,
And so I can
thank
interact with people in that way.
yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much again. And I am Lisa Garr. And until next time, I invite you to stay aware.